Good morning, or good afternoon, or even good evening, everybody. Welcome to Let's Color at Sacred Space Coloring Corner. I'm so excited to be here with you today. This is so fun. I love doing this every week. You know, this is something that I started a while ago. I've been doing it for maybe 3 or 4 months. We're just getting together, creating beautiful coloring pages and getting different kind of mediums to color with, and having this time together. And I'm finding it to be so much fun, and I'm noticing that more and more people are finding this space, this beautiful sacred space, to color with us. So welcome to all of our new people too. This is how it works. I'm going to do a little housekeeping, and then we're going to color. I have a Patreon site that is free, where you get your free coloring page, and then also this video. So those of you that are watching this on YouTube know that over on my Patreon site, and that little runner under there, patreon.com, Sacred Space Coloring Corner, is where you can go over there. You sign up, but it's free. So what happens is you get then access to the free coloring page, and also to this video. Um, and so it's really, really fun. It's really fun. And then everything over on Patreon is free. I do have a paid tier for those of you that want to support me and support this. And it's $10 a month, and you are welcome to do that with us too. But what we're doing here is we're getting all these different coloring pages from my coloring books. I've got like 12 or 13 coloring books now that are also available on the Patreon. And I also have an Etsy store as well, Sacred Space Coloring Corner, under Etsy, where I have single pages too. So I got a lot going on with this. And then the other thing is, I am a spiritual therapist. I offer sessions on I do hypnotherapy. I do spiritual uh, sessions with people to open up their spirituality, to open up to their higher self, to their deep inner wisdom. I do readings. I do past life therapy. I do hypnotherapy. I do metaphysical therapy. I have classes and courses and workshops. I have a membership called A Million I Love Yous, where we get together and we get little readings every week, and we meet for a beautiful, deep meditation. It's called 5D meditation. And so you can find me at michelleambergy.com as well. Find out all of those things that I do. And that work that I've been doing it for 20 years. I've got degrees, certifications, and a ton of experience. And from all of that is I realized that the neurological aspect of being human and having the human experience isn't addressed that much. And so I started studying the neurology, and how what can we do to help alleviate trauma. Everybody has trauma. We all do. It's just part of living. And the older we get, the more trauma we have, and it builds up. And there's not always a lot of access to things that help to alleviate and treat and release that trauma that gets trapped in the body. And so through my studies, I found that coloring does, and art and painting and playing music and dancing and being creative does. And so I settled on the coloring books. These are a part of my therapy. I have a website and a business called Sacred Space Art Therapy, where I do art therapy with people, and part of it is the coloring. So you guys are getting the therapy when you're getting these wonderful pages. And so, welcome. And all we got to do is play. That's how we change our neurology, is we go from trauma and we begin to do things that are playful and fun, and we start remapping. So today I decided that I want to use my oh hoo hoo. I want to do the markers today. And this is the, what is this, the 60 set? Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. I can't even remember. How many are in here? It's a whole bunch. And we got a lot of colors. And I felt like having bright, vibrant colors today. It's been very gray and dreary for quite some time here in Southern California. You know, we have days of such beautiful blue skies that sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting tired of blue skies. And now we've had gray and dreary, but we have a lot of moisture. And so that's important. We need that as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, shall we begin? Where are we going to begin? I love this one. This is one of the pages from my mandala coloring book. In the mandala coloring book, I think there's 22 mandalas in there, and so you're welcome to purchase that. You can get it on the Patreon site. They're all there for sale. Also over on Etsy, which again is Sacred Space Coloring Corner on Etsy. But I always talk about, every time we get together, I always talk about, like, for me personally, getting started is my hardest time. It's like kind of gives me anxiety because it's the beginning of it's the beginning of the whole thing. And especially when you're using markers, markers are pretty permanent. And so I always get a little bit like, oh, what if I make a mistake? But that's okay. And so today our word is freedom. And I'm not sure if that is backwards for you guys. It's backwards for me. So if it is backwards for you, it does say freedom, not mob irf, although mob irf is fun too. But today we're going to practice. We're going to focus on freedom and freedom of self, freedom just to be whoever, whatever you are. And so I'm just going to put my hand into the markers, and this is the one that I pulled out. So this is ice blue. Ooh, I love it. And so these markers are awesome because they have a tip that is for filling in, and then they have a sharp tip for outlining. My lights aren't very bright today. And so these are really fun to work with. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on this outer rim here. Let's stay on there. I think it does. And I'm just going to start right here. Right? I'm just going to start right here. I'm going to bring these in here. Now with markers, I always like to be a little bit more precise. With the coloring pencils, which is why I kind of stick with them. I get a little bit sloppy and then I clean it up. But with the markers, I always be just a little bit more precise, a little bit more careful, because they are bright and they are vibrant and they're magnificent. And they're serious stuff, right? So what I'm doing, and don't be afraid to turn your pages. This is something that's really, really important when you're coloring and stuff. So you're going to see me doing that as well. Especially when I'm using markers. I need to be, like I said, a little bit more precise. And we just color this in. We get started with something somewhere, right? Just get started. And then once you do that, you start to get inspired. You start to be like, oh, yeah, this needs this here. And it's just getting started. And that's always my hardest part, is getting started, what color to use, And I know a lot of times people that are very professional with this, they plan out their color palette and all that good stuff. I'm a little bit of a free spirit. I don't go that far into that. But I can tell you that once you get started, something that can be really helpful is to understand that as you put colors in, putting colors next to them that are like opposite the color wheel. Ooh, this wants to see, it starts telling you where it wants to go. Putting complementary colors that are um, like next to or opposite on the color wheel, you start working with the colors that way. It gets very interesting because you can really create some beautiful things. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more in the future because I am honestly just learning about that kind of stuff. Because I have been painting with acrylic painting and doing a lot of that kind of work for a couple of years with the wonderful artist called OT Harmon, and she does colors. You can find her at OUTI dot art dot or OTR art.com. And she's wonderful. She's a wonderful teacher. She teaches, and I've learned all about this and colors and everything. So I'm going to bring more of that to you guys. And then, you know, you guys know my favorite color is pink. I got to get some pink going in here somewhere. So I'm going to pull out this beautiful pink. This is called pastel pink. And we remember, and I have to remind myself that the colors are much brighter and deeper than the pencils. And so let's get started on this. And I kind of want to talk about freedom too, you know. Part of the reason I chose this page, I balked a little bit about using this. I was thinking, well, I should save this for like 4th of July, right? Something that's the American dream. But then I realized not all of our followers are Americans, for one thing. But freedom is something we all crave. Freedom is something that we all wish for, and I personally feel is kind of an inalienable right. You know, something that we all deserve. We're all born with the right to freedom. And I think it's something that we don't acknowledge and appreciate that often too. You know, freedom is something that allows us to be who we are. Freedom is something that allows us to be here and do this. But freedom is also what we give ourselves. You know, are you giving yourself the freedom to be artistic in whatever way you are? Are you giving yourself the freedom to allow this artistic side of you to to experiment and to be curious and even to fail? Because art requires a lot of failure. And I'll tell you what, going further, success requires a lot of failure. I know. That goes against everything we believe, doesn't it? Successful people fail way more, way more than people ever see because we don't see people's failures, right? Especially in today's technology world. We only see people's successes because that's what we show of ourselves, right? That's what we share. We share our successes. We don't share our failures. It's like I don't want people to know and to see where I failed. Holy moly, no way. Right? I don't want people to see that because we've kind of come to kind of idolize success and successful people, and we don't realize success takes failure. And so in order to be successful, you have to be free to screw up. You have to be free to have those failures. And you know it's interesting, so often people who think something is a failure, rarely is it actually a failure either. A lot of times like, oh, I failed, oh, this is terrible. And especially when you're doing art stuff. And we had this conversation last night with a bunch of my friends that are starting to, you know, do art and that kind of stuff. And we were talking about that and about that need to be perfect, that need, that desire that everything has to be a certain way, and it doesn't at all. Art is about expressing yourself, and in order to get to that authentic expression, things are going to get squirrely. Things are going to get squirrely. Art requires, ooh, this is just coming to me. Art almost like requires failure. Life kind of requires failure. Think about that. Life kind of requires failure. We don't come in with the manual. Let's put it even deeper. We don't know what we're doing, right? We come in here, we don't know what we're doing. A lot of us don't even know what the point is. Is the point of life just coming in and work, 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 and get to the end of your life, and then play a little bit, hang out, watch TV, whatever you do. It's like, what's the real purpose, and what are we doing here, and why? And those are such wonderful, worthy questions. Those are truly worthy questions. Have you ever asked yourself, it's like, what's the purpose? What's my purpose? Why am I here? Why am I coloring right now? You know why? Because we have the freedom. We have the freedom to color. How cool is that? You have the freedom to choose to be here at this moment, to have your little coloring page. You have the freedom to choose the colors you want, where you want them to be. How cool is that? And so when we start acknowledging our freedoms, when we start giving ourselves the freedom to express without judgment, without things having to be a certain way, with being open to what we call failure. I'm going to give you another word for quote unquote failure. It's just research and development, right? We never fail. I mean, honestly, you fail at something only when you give up. And even then, that's not even a failure. That's just like, that isn't for me. Not everything is for everybody, right? Not everything is for everybody. If we did that, I would have to be a failure at jumping out of airplanes. Like, heck no, I'm not jumping out of airplanes. Have I ever tried it? No, I gave up before I even got out there. By some standards, that would be, oh, failure, didn't even try it. But that's okay, because I'm not jumping out of an airplane. And that's okay. We have to make sure that we're not ranking ourselves or judging ourselves by other people. We have the freedom to do it our way, to be who we are, to experience what we want to experience, right? We have so many freedoms just as human beings. Just getting up in the morning, we have so many choices to make every day. Am I going to be happy today? Am I just going to choose to face the day, whatever comes, with a joyful heart, just because I can? And sometimes when you're really, really sad, when you're grieving, when you're going through things, it's hard to have that joyful heart. But there are things that you can do that help you move into that joyful space. And I'll tell you what, coloring is one of them. I work with a lot of people that have had a lot of trauma, that that struggle with anxiety and depression, and situations that are pretty gnarly. But one of the things that we always work on is acknowledging that we always have a choice on how we're going to face our trials. We always have a choice on how we're going to spend the day. And, I've worked with a lot of people that are like, no, I don't. This is how I am. This is how it is. I don't have a choice. It just is. It's how I feel and it's how it is. And so one of the things we do that we to help shift sometimes when we're really stuck in something is begin to imagine, well, what if maybe you do have the choice? What then? What would you choose? If you did have the choice, just say, what if? What if you do have the choice to, even though you're feeling sad inside and you're not denying your sadness, we always acknowledge our feelings. But what if you chose not to live your life from that sadness? If you chose to live your life acknowledging the sadness, the grief, the pain, what if you gave yourself the freedom to live your life from something other than that? And just think on that for a moment. What if you just lived your life from another point of view? Doesn't mean you're not feeling what you're feeling. It's just a word, it's just a thing. And it's just a concept, it's just a possibility. And that's how we begin to give ourselves freedom. It's how we begin to free ourselves from the things that hold us back and hold us down and oftentimes cause us even more pain. We're going to use pastel yellow next. You guys know how I love my pink and blue and yellows. So here we are. We are doing it. Yeah, let's bring this in here. Very good. Woo. Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can give ourselves freedom in our life. There's a lot of ways that we can free ourselves from the pain. Another thing you can do too is breathing. Let's all take a minute. Let's all just take a minute and stop coloring and just take a nice breath. How does that feel? And take another breath. Just take a deep breath. And let's all take one more nice deep breath. Ah, just releasing that and just notice how your body begins to relax. Breathing is magical. Breathing will free you from any kind of stress or anything. We're all beginning with the power of the internet. We're all beginning to get this kind of information and learning these sort of things. Yogis have been using breathing for thousands of years of ways to get into very peaceful, very peaceful states, very peaceful places of harmony, you know. These are the guys that can sit in caves and meditate for days, weeks, months, right? They use breathing to get them into those states of samsara, right? Ooh, look at this goes down here. Of samsara, that deep state of meditation. We can do it. Anything that anyone can do, we can do too. And I know that's taking a big liberty, isn't it? But it's true. If another human being can accomplish something, so can we. We might not accomplish it the same way, you know, but the human potential is vast. The only thing that holds us back is our own brain, you know, it's our own thinking. And so part of the reason I chose this page and the one with freedom on it is to talk to you guys about where are you giving yourself freedom? I think it's pretty cool that you're all here coloring. That's a great freedom that you give yourself, right? You give yourself the freedom to be here today, to be coloring. And also know, these coloring videos, they stay up. They stay up on my, if you're on YouTube, they also stay up on my Patreon. If you guys are watching this on YouTube and you're interested in getting free pages, the free pages are available over on my Patreon, Sacred Space Coloring Corner. The little banner has the website address there. Free coloring pages. These free videos, it's all free. Sign up is free, 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 free. And it's because of the power of coloring to help move people through trauma, to help people move through their trauma, to really kind of regulate the nervous system. And that's why I share this. Because I tell you what, that whole pandemic thing was really traumatic. It was for me. It was scary, But I want to say too that what came out of that for me is this coloring stuff. This coloring stuff is part of what I did. All of a sudden we're all locked down. What the heck am I going to do with myself? And so I started coloring books. I started moving into doing more of the art stuff. I started painting. And that brought me into a more of the creative space with myself. And I started painting in 2020, no, 2022, 2021, somewhere around there. It's all a blur. And then from that the creative activity of painting made so much shift and change in my life that I started thinking about how can I use this to help others, right? And I'm not a painting teacher, so if you want painting, you go over to Odie, odieart.com. But I do have other artistic things, and I love to color. So I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had this thing about creating coloring books. I had no idea how I would do that. So I got on YouTube, and all of a sudden, all the information is there. I was like, all right, let's go. So I gave myself the freedom to experience this. That's why we're here today. Isn't that cool? Ooh, this is getting so pretty. Isn't this fun? Freedom. All right. So now we need some other blues. We need some more like bluey blues. We need some brilliant blue. Brilliant blue. And how many people are using Ohuhu? You guys can put comments. Oh my gosh, I love this blue. I'm feeling. I want to ask you guys, tell me if I'm crazy. How many of you guys can feel colors? I know. Am I crazy? I can feel colors. It's like I feel them. I used to even say that sometimes I can taste colors. Now, here's something we're using this beautiful blue next to the yellow. Look how pretty that blue is next to the yellow. It makes the yellow pop, it makes that yellow stand out. So I'm using this blue is pretty dark. It's great for accents and shaping stuff, but it needs to be here right now with this. Yeah, but how many people feel color? I sometimes, I'm going to go crazier with you guys. I sometimes feel like I can taste color. You know, I've had people ask me, it's like, oh, does blue taste like blueberries? It's like, no, it doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't taste like anything that I know like that. It tastes more like, God, this sounds crazy. I can't believe I'm talking to you guys about this, but it tastes more like just to describe this blue. I'm really feeling and tasting this blue. It tastes more like a breeze. I know it's crazy, but it tastes like a breeze blowing in my mouth. And not that I'm feeling a breeze per se, but it feels like a breeze in my mouth. It tastes like wind. And it's more the aspect of freshness and yeah, freshness is really the word I want to say. That's what a lot of colors bring, freshness. And I guess ooh, now that I'm thinking about having to really describe it, sometimes too that's it's almost like the weight of the color. Like some colors feel very heavy and intense, and some feels very light and breezy. Look at that blue with that yellow. That's lovely. And now you guys know that these color pages, these are AI created. Um, I do some of my own magic on them in Canva or Photoshop. So they do have the weird little anomalies that you find when you color with AI stuff, where sometimes the things don't have the perfect little endings. They don't always have the like some of these have a curly Q at the end and some don't. So give yourself the freedom to put a curly Q there. And also when you're coloring this stuff, give yourself permission to change something if you want to. It's like everything doesn't have to be exactly as it is right here, right? If you have something here that's got some swirly looking things, but you don't really want them there, they don't have to stay there. They don't have to stay there. And also, I'm noticing out here that there are some like little whoop-de-doos out here. And I'm not sure what they're doing here. They're like little, this one doesn't have one, so I'm going to put one in. Oh, everybody take a nice deep breath. If you have a little cup of tea or a cup of coffee with you, should you stop, take a sip? Because part of all of this, too, is just enjoying the ride, you know? It's just enjoying the ride. Mm. And another thing that happens with me when I'm coloring is so often, and I know with mandalas, you want to kind of be in keeping with kind of a color scheme, which I'm just so not a color scheme person. I mean, let's do everything. But I always want to make sure I'm using colors that are complementary to each other, that are bringing in beautiful colors. Ooh, that little peachy color is pretty. This is going to be pretty for filling in some spaces. You know what I'm even looking at? Right here, I'm like, ha, 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 ha. Right here, we have pink that comes up to yellow. And it's almost like it's a little space that sort of needs to be filled in, but it wants to be a different color, right? So it's not a color that's here to stand out and pop. It's a color that's here to support and complement, to allow the voice of other colors to be heard, right? Kind of like in a choir. It's like every voice is important, especially in a choir, but not all the voices are dominant at the same time, right? Ooh, that's really pretty. And you know what? Another thing with markers, too, is markers start out a lot darker than they finish. Once they dry, they tend to dry a little bit lighter and more vibrant, especially with these oops, oh hoo hoo, especially with these beautiful oh hoo hoo ones. And you know what? I want to bring this beautiful peach in here. This peach is so pretty next to this teal. This peach is so pretty next to this teal color, and I think I'm going to bring a little bit more of this teal color deeper into here. I was kind of waiting. So we're going to get big teal. Yeah. It's so pretty with the yellow too. So we've got the one blue on one side. We've got the beautiful teal on the other side. Yeah, that's pretty. And also remember when coloring and painting, white is a color. So sometimes I know I always feel like I have to color in every inch of everything. White is a color too. Always remember that. It can be a great little accent color, leaving, ooh, yikes. I almost colored the wrong petal. Like on these ones right here, there's some white that's kind of underneath that we may go back and color, but right now I'm seeing it almost as like a beautiful little white accent there. I hope you guys are all having a beautiful day. I hope this coloring just gives you a little place in the universe to come to just let it all down, right? Just stop the world for a minute. This is what we all need. Our world is really, really busy. There's so much required of us. Oh, and I notice I've been dealing with some things where, it's people that kind of basically sit in front of a computer all the time. And they want this and they want that and they want it now. And it's like, well, I don't sit in front of a computer all day long. I do other things. My work is not sitting in front of a computer. And it kind of freaks them out. They're like, what? People that are sitting in front of a computer, that's kind of that's what they do, right? They sit in front of a computer. And I had one lady, I could literally see her brain, or feel, not see, but feel her brain was like, does not compute. Well, it needs to get done anyways, was the answer that I got. And I was like, okay, I'll work on that. I don't have, I'm not going to be, in front of a computer and just demanding, well, it needs to be done today. Does it? Does it really have to be done today? That's their requirement, but is that my requirement? And there are some things that we'd have to do. I mean, we can't fight everything all the time. And we don't want to be fighting, right? We don't want to have to fight. We want to be in cohesive cooperation with everything and everyone. But that requires, that from other realms too, right? It's like it takes two to tango. So that's why being in cohesive cooperation with ourselves are so important. Some people call that heart resonance. I've been hearing that term for a couple of years. Heart resonance. I like that. Being in resonance with our heart, right, is what we're doing, matching with what our heart is saying. Is what we're doing, the color that we're using, matching what our heart wants. Because when we start letting our heart run the show, things kind of start lining up. Wow, how pretty this is getting. How pretty that's getting. You guys are doing such a great job. Now, this is where I start getting stuck too. Tell me if you guys feel this too. Where all of a sudden it's like, I'm stuck and I don't know what to do next, especially when we have some of this kooky AI stuff. This is where a lot of times I get a real light color, is kind of fill that in, leave the intricacy that's coming out, but color it all one color. Kind of leaving it to become its own thing, maybe. See these colors right here, boop, 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 boop. Trying to decide what I want that to be. It's almost like What I want in here needs to be these big ones out here. And I really want something bright. I really want something bright and fun. I'm wondering if I want to move into some of our fluorescence. Are we ready for some fluorescence? Is my world ready for some fluorescent? Oh, because I love them. And do I want to use fluorescence in this? Or do I want to stick with the more? See, this is where I get myself in trouble. I feel like there needs to be a brighter yellow in here, though. I really do. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe the fluorescent yellow is going to allow some of this to pop. I'm doing it. I'm going in. And I'm going to go right here. I'm going to bring this bright yellow in here. Let's go ahead and fill this in. The yellow is so pretty next to the pink. You know, yellow is complementary to so many different colors. It really is. And now this is the fluorescent yellow in the Ohuhu, but it's not overly bright. It really isn't overly bright. When it dries, it gets a little bit brighter. But that's why I thought that this would be good because we've got the kind of more goldeny yellow. But I feel like these need to be this bright yellow. And we've got a lot of kind of dark stuff in there too. So, and this one, I'm going to do all of the leaves all the way around. Instead of going every other one like I have been, I'm going to do all of them all the way around. And because we have a little bit of the print going on here, I'm not going to take the color all the way down into the black. Because the markers, because they're moist, a lot of times they pick up some of that grayscale and kind of darken stuff out. Oh, this is great. Yeah. Beautiful. Ooh, my little markers are going squeak, 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 squeak. Squeak, 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 squeak. They're happy. And now some of these little lines here are a little bit, that's okay. We just make it fit, right? Ooh, did you guys see what crystals are here with us today? We have crystal quartz. We have our crystal quartz dolphin. We got our rose quartz, and we have our labradorite. They wanted to be here. So look at that. Doesn't that bright that up? And I even feel like I want this here. I want this circle to be this bright color. I kind of want the party to all be in the middle here. And I want to bring some of this out here to the tips. Because that's another part of this. Even though we've got yellow out here, we've got this yellow out here. I'm trying to see, do I want to? For one thing, I need to bring this line. Is this the right color blue? No. There's the teal blue. Is this the teal blue? No. Isn't that funny? When they dry, they change color so much. Wow. See, I had a little line here that wasn't finishing its job. It wasn't doing its job. How's everybody doing? This is kind of a long journey here, isn't it? And I'm going to bring this all the way up here. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. We're filling all of this in. Now remember, be careful when you're going along where the darker colors are, because sometimes you'll pick those up and they'll start making things a little bit muddy. So see, we're bringing that color out. Bring this color out to the edges a lot more. And we're kind of joining. We're kind of and also something you can do if you're using markers and you start getting a little bit of dark muddy, you can wipe them off on something clean and kind of go back and forth with your marker and get that grayscale off of there. Or if you pick up a darker, like I can tell right now that I'm kind of picking up some of this blue a little bit. Yep, some of this goes right in here. So I've been picking up some of this blue a little bit. So I just want to kind of take my marker and go on something that's clean, kind of wipe it off on there. These clean up really quick too. So what do you think? Is that pretty? Look at, we're getting there. We're almost done. We're almost to an hour. Try not to go over an hour with these. I just try to keep these. Just try to keep these not too far gone. I love this. It's so pretty. Do we need a purple in there? I don't know. I kind of like the white in there for that. But I feel like we need more kind of color filling in. And so I'm actually going to bring this peach in here. I'm going to bring this peach in here. I love this peach next to this teal. I like it with this goldeny yellow with the yellows. So I'm going to bring that in there. And I'm going to bring it under here too. Right? This color is kind of becoming a little bit of a filler inner color. Right? We're filling in some of these spaces. Just going to fill some of this in here. And another thing too, make sure that you don't have to rush. Don't rush your paintings. You don't have to get everything. I always call them paintings. You don't always have to get everything done in one day. And a lot of times too, what I do, and I do this with painting, I learned this from Odie, is I'll have several going at one time too. So like if I feel I get stuck with one of my color pages, like I'm not sure what colors to use, or I'm getting frustrated or something, I'll go and do another page. I'll go start something new or go finish up something I kind of don't feel like you have to be rushed. You're a colorist. You're a colorist. You get to enjoy the colors. All right, I need a color out here. Do I need this? Is this the color we need out here? Ooh. So the one closest to the little whoop-de-doo there. Because also remember it's like you want your colors to be in and then out, right? It pulls the eye in and then it pulls the eye out. Oh, freedom. freedom. What are some of your most treasured freedom quotes? Whenever I hear that word, I always see Mel Gibson. Freedom. Love that. Great movie. Great movie. Look at what you guys have done. Look what you have done. And so, with this, look at that. I think I'm going to leave a little bit of the white in there. I'm going to bring that closer in. Isn't that pretty? I feel like I need some little accent like this right here. But I don't want to take that white away. But let's color in the word freedom. Yes. And I'm going to use my favorite color. I'm not using the hot pink. I'm using this pink. I'm using this pink, which is a very bright pink. Freedom is one of my favorite words. It's always been something that I valued for myself and others. As someone who does therapy with people, my therapy is more along the line of kind of spiritual. Although I am a certified clinical hypnotherapist, I have a background with psychology. I am a metaphysical therapist, which means mind, body, soul kind of stuff. And so that's kind of more where I am. I studied psychology, but I just didn't find it like reached into the divine part. I've always been kind of spiritually oriented. But freedom, the freedom to be who we are, the freedom, to be imperfect. We live in a world, even in school, it's like you have to get an A. And in order to get an A, you have to be perfect. And it's like that perfection thing is drilled into us, and we don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You already are. Your imperfection is perfect. And I'm gonna use this word because God created you perfectly. I believe in God and a higher source, a higher wisdom, and I believe that we're connected to that. I believe that we're a part of that. I believe that it's part of our nature. And actually, I'm going to do this here too. I love this accent part, but I just feel like it needs to be filled in. And so I hope that you take your freedom coloring that you did and that you put it somewhere where you can see it every single day. And that you can begin to remind yourself that you are free, that you are a free and sovereign being, created with a holiness and a sacredness that is, like our forefathers here in America say, an unalienable right, meaning we cannot be alienated from our freedom. And I think that's a big statement. I think that's a really important statement. I think that's a really important concept that we kind of take into our hearts. And remember, our freedom is not one on taking other people's freedoms away. We have to allow freedom, for everyone. long as we're not hurting others. I mean, there's some things that take it just a bit too far, but there'll always be those people, right? Because your freedoms cannot be won on taking another's freedom away, because that's not freedom. Freedom requires self respect, self restraint, self discipline, right? Self accountability, right? Self respect. If you respect yourself, you're not going to be disrespectful to others. I think that's something that we've kind of lost in the world right now. It's not about respect for others, it's about self respect. And self respect doesn't mean I get what I want. It means I operate in a mindset where everything and everyone is valuable and important and worthy and, dare I say it, created by a creator that is love centered, love based. That we're created in love. There's been many great teachers who have said love is the key. Love yourself, even as I have loved you. Love yourself, even as I've loved you. Oh, did I change that? I did. Because one of my things I work with my clients and students is I have a saying, and it says, love yourself because that's where God is. That's where we connect with God. That's how we connect to the divine, is in there with meditation, with coloring, and whatever your concept of God is. I'm not trying to press a religious belief on anyone. Look at that. She's gorgeous and she's freedom. Right? So come on over. We have more things going on. I have a Facebook page, again, Sacred Space Coloring Corner. And I have a Facebook page, and you can share your pictures over there. And you might be able to share them on Patreon. I'm not sure. I haven't seen anybody try doing that, but we can. A lot of us are sharing over on the Facebook page and taking a picture. I just take a picture with my iPhone. That was fun, guys. I'm feeling the freedom to be you, the freedom to be me, the freedom to be whatever we will be, right? Isn't that what we intrinsically want? Isn't that ultimately what everybody wants? Just to be free. It's free to enjoy things, free to breathe, free to not have to hustle and bustle and, run, 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 run. And we have a model of living that, no pain, no gain. You got to hustle. And it sometimes takes away from that need to just take a breath and just stop, right? To just watch the clouds in the sky or the birds or listen to the freaking grass grow. There's a lot that happens. There's a lot of productivity from sitting still and just letting the mind wander into beautiful places. Now, mind wandering into dark places, not so much freedom. But daydreaming your perfect life, daydreaming is powerful. It's part of manifestation. It's part of that manifestation. If you don't dream it, you can't create it, you know? So thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for being a part of Sacred Space Coloring Corner on Patreon, on YouTube, and on Facebook. It's all the same name. All you have to do is put it in there and find it. We got that threefold thing going on. And if I can help you at all with any kind of therapies, um, I am available, michelleambergy.com. You can see my name right there. And I'm here for you. I'm here to support you and love you and whatever we can do. I do also have a my another YouTube channel where I have all kinds of spiritual stuff on there. I've got hundreds of videos about healing and mindset and consciousness and chakras and meditations and all kinds of good stuff if you're into that. So I love you. We're coming up on the beginning of March. Oh my gosh. We're into March already. I can feel spring starting to spring, so that's exciting. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're a part of my life. I'm glad you're here in this world at this time, at this really momentous time of great change. And I'm glad that you're taking this time to color, to allow yourself that space to connect to your inner freedom, to your inner self, to your power and your beauty and your love. And I'm glad to be on that journey with you. So, like I always say, stay sparkly because it's really important. I love you guys. We will see you next week. Have a good one.